Hey there, Christoph here. I wanted to follow up on some conversations that I've been part of on GitHub and on Slack around the new QML GUI. So there are two topics here. One is around design at the bottom, and one is around what to build. And so I mentioned it before in GitHub. I think just rebuilding the widgets GUI in QML and just making it look a little bit differently or nicer and adding responsive layouts is really not the right thing. I think it would take a really long time, and for most of that time, the new GUI would be kind of a worse version than the older one. So, but what made me think about this idea of then just taking one aspect of the widgets GUI and just building on that and making it the best it can be, really. So, for example, if the new QML GUI can also support mobile, then this new product, the first version of this new QML GUI, could become the best universal node running application that exists. So all of a sudden, you don't just download it on desktop and double click, and then you have a node running, but you can do the same on iOS and Android and maybe whatever other operating systems exist. And it's not like, it doesn't feel like this heavy experience where it just destroys your CPU for a day, but maybe it can bootstrap, it can use compact block filters, it can prune, I don't know. There are all kinds of techniques, and maybe it could also feel like it's a first-class citizen where it's tightly integrated with the operating system. Maybe it acts a little bit differently on Android. Maybe it acts a little bit differently when you're on Wi-Fi or when you're out and about, or maybe it kind of works as a nightstand block clock. There are all kinds of things you could do if you just take this node running experience and try to make that the best one that could be. And that would, of course, that would ideally allow more people to run nodes, and it would make nodes cooler and more interesting, and just satisfy that need. And maybe other devices you could run your own separate block explorer or your own wallet that then integrates or loads data through this node that you're running. For example, I would love to use my old Android device here to run the node on the side. The other idea would be to focus on multisig. So this could become the best key signing device. So you would just be able to create a few different keys or wallets and set them up. And then you would have, based on whatever your device you're using, whatever operating system you're using, you would have kind of the best security, privacy implementation of key management and key signing. So if I want to use my old Android phone for a cold storage multi-sig configuration, and I want to combine that with, let's say, the Qt GUI and maybe a Blue Wallet or so, then I could do that. And if I'm on iOS, it could use Touch ID. If I'm on Android, it could use something else. But just really just make that the best experience. And maybe the wallet first could become a node runner, and then it become add the key signing functionality. Maybe those are two separate apps. I really don't know. I'm just talking about some ideas here. And of course, if you want a cold storage key signer, then you're not going to have a node running, of course. The other two ideas are more focused on power users or more sophisticated users, I think. So on the left one, I was thinking the Qt wallet has a console, and what if that could be expanded more? What if there could be some visual way to create more complex spending policies around multi-sig and time locks and other things? What if some of these more cutting edge, more complex features could be executed in a way that makes them way more accessible to a lot more people? Because there are a lot of other wallets out there that already do like sending and receiving. Every wallet can do that, but maybe there's something here, and I don't really know what it is because I'm not such a power user in that regard. But maybe other people have ideas and they say, yeah, I know exactly what I would build here, and this is what we need to do. So I wanted to add this one in. And the other one was just the idea of extensibility. So of course you're not going to have the Lightning and Samurai server in here, but just the idea that I could kind of configure how I want to use this. And maybe it would also change the development flow where you have one team focusing on the node part, one team focusing on the key signing. And then during the initial setup process of the wallet, I choose what I want to do. And then the application could also grow over time. So people understand that maybe the first version is just this node runner or the key signer, and then you add more of these plugins or extensions or whatever you want to call them over time, based on whatever the need might be today, and that might change in 5 years and in 10 years. So creating it in somewhat of an extensible way could help that in the future. So the other part I want to talk about is the design process. So here's kind of how I usually structure these types of things. So first you start with your basic elements, like your style guide, colors, typography, icons, just these smallest little pieces that then are combined to create all of these UI elements. They are typically ones that every interface has buttons and inputs, and they all have active states, empty states, disabled states, pressed states, all these things. And then there are some more unique ones, like if you want to have graphs or transaction items or whatever else you might need that's very unique to the application. So you take those elements and then you create those form elements here, those components. And then the screens that you build are usually just combinations of these. But before you get into that, I think figuring out the global navigation across different screen sizes is a really good thing to do. And then you know how people get from one screen to the next. Where's your back button? How do you work with overlays and modals? What changes do you make between desktop and tablet and mobile? Good things to figure out. Then you go into destination screens. So let's say you take the home screen, you say, okay, what does it look like when I have a multi-sig wallet, but it's empty? What does it look like when I have a single sig wallet with 50 transactions and some error just happened, or I have a pending transaction? So you think about, and that's where you combine all of these elements that were defined and you figure out all of those different parts. And then, after that, you can kind of go into these user flows. That's sometimes a combination of these destination screens, and sometimes there are unique screens. And you think about, okay, let's make the experience of single sig transactions as smooth as possible, or let's optimize how somebody creates a new wallet. So I see that's kind of how I usually structure it, and it's kind of good for, in my opinion, to start from the left here to the right, and that allows both the design and the development team and the conversations to be kind of focused. But that's just me. Could do it differently. Those are all just ideas here. Maybe you love them, maybe you hate them. Either one's fine. I just like having these type of conversations, and I'm curious to hear what you think. So thanks.